Welcome to the Movies of the Damn podcast. My name is Kyle Grant, and I'm sitting here, as always, with my friend and published horror author, John Hunt. If you enjoy what you hear here today, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our Facebook page, and follow us on both Instagram and Twitter, @DamnMovies. Email us any questions, comments, and suggestions to moviesofthedamned@gmail.com. For further details on John's published works, please visit his blog, johnhuntfiction.wordpress.com. Today, we'll be discussing Ricky Hess and Brandon Thaxton's 2019 film, Return to Horror Hotel. The movie is set up as an anthology feature with 4 segments, with them all being set at the hotel. The segments focus on killer bedbugs on steroids, a charm that turns women beautiful, a sailor that doesn't age, and Houdini's killer decapitated hand. Every segment involves things going terribly wrong and ultimately ends in death. Just to let everyone know, this movie came to our attention when we were reached out to from the Horror Hotel Twitter handle @HorrorHotel123. They asked if we would be interested in reviewing the movie, and we told them that we would love to check it out and give our honest opinion. So that's how we got here today. John, opening thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, so I don't really have too much to say about this film. I will say I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I wanted to like this because I like the setup. I always have a little bit of a soft spot for kind of like the, I don't know, the anthology kind of things, like the one-off type stories. It reminds me a little bit of kind of like the Twilight Zone,
Or
Outer Limits.
Creepshow and all that stuff. Yeah,
exactly,
for
right?
sure.
X-Files, even in certain seasons.
Yes.
Are You Afraid of the Dark? All sorts of things that I loved growing up. So when I heard, oh, this is kind of an anthology film, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I haven't really seen an anthology film in a while with kind of different segments. And I'm like, well, this could be cool. And then you kind of start watching it, and it's like, oh, I didn't love the first one, but there's still 3 more. Maybe I'll really like one of the other ones, right? And then, unfortunately, the movie's kind of over.
Yes. So
And you find yourself not overly loving any of them. There were some that I liked better than others, though. Can you say that?
yes,
Okay.
but not by much.
No, there was none that kind of knocked my socks off type of thing, where I'm like, oh my gosh, this segment here is worth the watch.
Yeah, so I don't know what they were trying to do. Were they trying to make a scary movie, or was this supposed to be kind of like comedy horror with, I don't know what they were trying to do.
And that's a good point. Like, it seemed almost like it was a little bit of comedy horror going on, right? Like there's no way that in that opening segment with the bodybuilder and him flexing in the mirror and kind of putting the prosthetic in his pants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's no way that you're making a serious movie at that point.
Exactly, like that. I don't even then. And then you're looking at it, so it couldn't have been serious. You see all that stuff, protein powder, all the stuff that he's using to build all the supplements, right?
Yeah.
And then he has one 20-pound dumbbell. Like what? Like
yeah,
that, like,
kind of strange, right?
Like you're not. Like no, and he wasn't even jacked. Like he was a big dude.
He,
But,
you know what? I
call-
actually thought he was cast perfectly, because sometimes you see these kind of like amateur bodybuilders who wanna be these like big professional bodybuilders, and they don't look that great. They just like look more like inflated more than anything, and a little chunky. So I actually thought his body was perfect for that character.
Okay. I didn't know if that's what they were trying to do. I don't even know.
Well, I couldn't see him being like a legit pro bodybuilder and kind of like staying at this hotel thing, right?
No, that wouldn't be typical,
Yeah.
right? So
Because those guys are big celebrities, right? Like the top-notch guys.
yeah, but maybe he's just someone breaking onto the circuit. You don't know, right?
He's
So,
got a lot of work to do at that point.
for
then.
sure. So like that's what I mean. I don't know what they were trying to do. At no point was I scared. At no point in this film at all did I have any type of scary movie related emotion, I'd say.
Yeah, I was never really scared either.
Yeah.
I will say when I talked about all those shows at the beginning, like the Twilight Zone, I never found myself being very scared either. I was more like intrigued, interested type of thing. And with most of these segments, I found that I wasn't even intrigued or interested that much.
Yeah, well, Twilight Zone is more science fiction fantasy.
Yeah.
With a bit of a dark twist to it, right?
You're absolutely right. And then
I'd
going
go,
back,
but you look at Creepshow,
yeah,
right? Like those are, and then Tales from the Crypt and all these other ones that had shorter segments and in their films and stuff like that. They were undeniably horror, right?
and I guess with this one, with horror being in the title,
yeah,
that like these are more horror stories. Now I will say that in each segment, the characters had kind of ill intent, kind of like a little bit of darkness, what was going on.
Yeah.
And there involved a lot of death, but I wouldn't say it was overly scary. So I'd have to agree with you.
There's some gross out scenes, right?
Oh, like with them having their in the opening sequence there, that one was called Sleep Tight, where him and his girlfriend, the drug dealer, kind of wake up and they both have their like feet in the buckets.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on here? And then
know.
when it's revealed that it's like they do that to feed the bed bugs that they like turn into drugs somehow, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that is disgusting. And seeing all the gashes on their legs, gross.
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't like that part. I thought that was gross. And it was okay. I'm not gonna say I didn't like it. It was interesting when I saw their feet in the buckets. I'm like, okay, well, why is this?
Yeah, I was
Right?
I wrote that down right away. I'm like, why are their feet in buckets?
Yeah. So I was intrigued. I was kind of interested in what was going on with that. But when I found out why, I was just like, one of those.
Yeah.
Okay, what?
Like that's
then
the answer.
Then the giant bed bugs. Those were cockroaches. Like, everyone knows what cockroaches look like. They weren't bed bugs.
Yeah.
Right.
And in that first segment too, the one thing that I kind of noted is like I didn't love the acting.
Yeah. I didn't find it terrible because like once again I was saying I don't know what they were trying to do. So if they're trying to do like a
Yeah.
horror comedy, then I thought the acting was fine.
Like when she the aunt, I'll call her, pulls up with the kids and is sitting there watching like the bikers
Yeah.
wrestle. Like that
That was-
weird, right? And like what a terrible human being she was, where she like refuses to pay the extra. I can't even remember what it was, like $6 or $4 to get the
Yeah,
room
yeah.
with 2 beds. She's like, no, the kids will sleep on the floor, and the one kid was just kind of lounging on the bed. And she's like, get off there. I'm going to be entertaining on this bed tonight. I'm
I
like,
know,
oh
like she
my
was pretty
gosh.
bad. She was a very bad character.
And I am happy though that the
Yeah.
kids got out alive, because they were the only characters I was kind of
Yeah.
rooting for
But
in that
the funny
segment.
part is like, remember they're sitting under the table and they're like, the kids were hiding under the table and he's like, I'll go. And
Yeah.
she's like, no, don't go. And he goes, don't worry, I'm really fast. And then he gets out from under the table and walks to the door. I'm like, you're really fast at
Yeah.
walking. Why wouldn't you run? So it's like some of that stuff was like, I was like, what?
No, I hear you. So then, moving on to kind of segment number 2,
Yep.
guillotine, and it was about these 2 women who kind of show up to the hotel to do kind of like a barter exchange for this charm, and she was kind of trading her
Yeah.
used car for it, and it was some charm that was. Now this is where I was kind of confused. It was worn by Marie Antoinette, or was somehow involved in her
It
death or
was
something
a
like that.
piece of the guillotine that killed her.
That killed her. Okay. And this charm will change your appearance. And I can kind of get behind that, like science fiction thing, like you put this charm on and you look different. And I can get behind like it makes your looks different, but it also changed
I
what they
noticed
were
that too,
wearing.
yeah.
I don't know if you noticed. And I'm just like, what? How is it like
Yeah, I
changing
know.
your clothing?
And well, the segments for that one, there's a few continuity issues, right? But I would say like there's some interesting references in this film, by the way. So
Yeah.
that one character that came in to try to buy that charm, the main one, and not the friend.
Not
her
the
name
friend,
was
yeah.
Doreen Gray, right? And have
Okay.
you ever read Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde? So it's about
No,
someone
no.
trying to be young forever, and they're
Oh,
painting-
really?
But what kept them young was a painting of them. So someone painted them in their youth, and if that painting was never messed with or never destroyed, then this person who was painted, Dorian Gray, would live forever. So it's like there's
interesting.
some interesting stuff like that I saw throughout, because it kind of like I picked it's like, oh, that's interesting, but the continuity issues were, it's like, okay, so they had to be wearing that around their neck, it didn't
Yeah.
disappear when they were wearing it around their neck, right? Because it had to be on the cut line, right? That's what they called it, the cut line
Yeah,
where her
yeah,
head
yeah,
was
yeah,
cut
yeah.
off, Antoinette's, right?
Yeah, where she
so
was
they had to
decapitated.
be on the cut line and all that. So are they trying to get across that all these famous people that wore this all the time? Because then,
Or I guess whenever they're in
well,
public.
have you ever seen any photos of Marilyn Monroe with that on her neck?
Okay, and I'm just trying to rack my brain here. Now, when they had it on, and then it transformed their appearance, in the transformation, could you still see
Yes.
it?
Right,
Okay,
that's what
okay.
I mean. Like, so, like, it didn't disappear.
Yeah, okay, I
So
see what
I'm
you're
just-
saying.
okay, so that's kind of a continuity problem, right?
Yeah, a little bit, right? And then the other thing that confused me too, it's like they showed up to the hotel room, and I was under the impression that it was I can't remember the guy's name, his
Yeah,
hotel
is
room,
it Sharko? Yeah.
Sharko or something like. Yeah, you're right. But then he leaves with the car, and now it's their hotel room, or did I just like misread that?
It's definitely his hotel room, right? And I guess
Okay.
they just stayed afterwards. I don't know why.
Yeah. And then they had separate
Like, no,
cars.
she was gonna give him the car for.
Yeah, but then
So he
the other
left his
girl,
car
the girls drive separately because the girl had a car to drive away with
but
at
they
the
showed
end.
up at the same time, so they must have taken his car. Because he must.
Yeah.
Because if he took their car, then he left his car there, obviously. There's
Yeah,
just
weird,
a lot of
right?
stuff that they didn't show you, right?
And the one thing I didn't like is when she kind of gets decapitated
Yeah.
by the mirror. You see the severed head, but you really don't see
No.
blood. If somebody gets decapitated, it's gonna be
Yes.
everywhere.
For sure. So mostly it would come from the body because the heart would be pumping it out.
Yeah.
From the neck itself, the blood would flow out, but it wouldn't shoot out. You know what I mean? Because there's no.
No, it wouldn't shoot out, but like I remember they did kind of like the close up
Yeah,
of the head lying
yeah.
on the ground, and the mirror was right there. You should like the ground all around it
Yeah.
should have been soaked in
And what
blood.
I really had a problem with, well, not a real problem with, but I looked at him going, what? Remember she was trying to strangle, the one girl.
Yes. Yeah.
You know how hard it is to strangle someone? When someone's getting strangled, they don't just sit there and go, "Oh, I'm being strangled," right?
Yeah, it's like
They flop
somebody help
around,
me.
They fight. It's a fight for your life. You ever seen?
They'll do
Yeah,
anything
you
they
ever seen
can.
No Country for Old Men. Right? Remember when
Great
strangling
film.
that cop? He had to get into a perfect position in order to hold that cop mobile in order to successfully strangle him, because you can't. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
an easy thing. Like you don't freeze up when you're being.
No,
So
I'm
like,
with
when
you. I'm
I
with you.
looked at that and I'm like, she's just letting it happen. Like you gotta show stuff, right? You got the small details that really, really matter, in my opinion, anyways, right? So I think they really missed it on that one.
No, and I can't argue with you, John. I really can't. There were, as we've already said, and going through the first two segments so far, there were some real
Yeah.
swings and misses here. Moving on to
Yeah.
number 3 then. This one was titled "No Time
Yeah.
for Love," and to be honest with you, if I was forced to rank them, this was probably my favorite one. This is probably the one I was most intrigued by, most interested in. But I will say right off the hop here, before we get into it, I was disappointed in the delivery a little bit, and I was disappointed in kind of like the lack of explanation. I thought it was a very cool premise of this sailor who doesn't age, living in this room and doesn't age. And it's like, I think they're almost playing that he was like from like World
Yeah,
War II
or
or
World
something
War
like
I.
that.
But I think it's World War
Yeah,
II.
I thought that was a really cool premise. I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. What's going on here? And then it kind of never explains why he never aged, and then it doesn't explain why he then begins aging. You know what I mean?
Okay. No,
But do you hear what I'm saying? How it's kind of an
it's-
interesting premise?
Yes and no, right? So, for me, I was annoyed at the very beginning when the guy handed her the book to bring, right? And it said 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And on the bottom it said Nemo. Jules Verne wrote the book.
Okay.
Nemo is the name of the captain piloting the amazing sub in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I was like, what?
Okay.
you got to get like that. Why didn't you just have the actual book, right? Like, why would you do that?
No, I.
So that
yeah. Okay. I
was
don't have an
annoyed
answer
with
for
that.
you.
So then she shows up to the room, and there's a man stuck in time, and and his name is Davy Jonas, right?
I don't get the
Davy Jones
reference.
Locker. It's the bottom of the
Oh.
sea. It's where it's just a word that sailors used to use for a grave. So the bottom of the sea was
Okay.
where a lot of sailors ended up. So they called he went to
Yeah,
Davy
yeah.
Jones Locker, right? So there's
Okay,
there's
gotcha.
some interesting references in here, which I found which caught my eye, right? But they were all wrong. They were just wrong, right? They're like the Davy Jonas one wasn't wrong, but the 20,000 Leagues thing was wrong. So those kind of things, like I said before, they pull you out, right? So it pulled me out, and then she gets there, and then they're for whatever reason, she's immediately attracted to this guy she just met.
I just love that she kind of stumbles and actually
Yeah.
hits her head, and she wakes up with him like kind of attending to her, and he's like, "Oh no, it's just a small scratch," and it's just this like giant
and that's
gash on her
another thing I had
forehead.
a problem with. The head contains gazillion capillaries. That's
Kind
yes,
of like what I talked
that's
about
why
with the
they
blood,
bleed
right?
A lot, especially
Yeah.
where the skin is closest to the skull. So if you get a gash
Yeah.
on your top of your head or the side of your head or anywhere where the skin's close to the skull, you're bleeding like you've been murdered. Like it's
And it wasn't just a scrape because it knocked
and
her out.
her skin was split.
And if you just scraped your head, you wouldn't
Her
be
skin
knocked
was
out.
split. You could see it. That's what the
Yeah.
special effects were, but they forgot to add the crazy amount of blood, right? So
Yeah.
that's another thing I had a problem with. And then, so she falls in love with this guy, and then,
Like instantly, and he kind of
Yeah.
falls in love with her. But then right away she says to him, "I actually did. My foot actually isn't hurt." But yet they talk about it for like 5 seconds and then
yes.
they're fine.
But what I was gonna say, like the reason why he aged, is she was bringing him into the present, right? Right.
Okay.
Because he, he taught. Yeah,
He was living in the
past. And he
past.
mentioned his wife, and he never stepped a foot outside. She wanted him to come outside. She was bringing him to the present time. So then he started to age. So I didn't really have a problem with that, but it was with all the other stuff I had a problem with, right? Like why? I just don't know why she was so invested in someone she just met. Why does she care?
Yeah.
Why she's questioning him, asking him all these questions, like you would someone that you've known for 20 years. Like, why did you do this? Right? Like.
I thought it would have been so much cooler if it had have been. This could have been like the premise for a full movie. So maybe she comes to start visiting him slowly, and each time she kind of noticed at first that he's like a little bit older each time, and then eventually after like I don't know the 10th visit or something, when they're kind of having feelings, then she reveals actually that her foot wasn't hurt. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of more of a build to it rather than just like instantaneous.
Absolutely, there should have been a build.
And then as he falls for her more and more, and she starts like bringing him out of his shell and towards the present, then the aging starts speeding up more and more.
Yes. Either way, I don't know. What I just don't know why she would keep returning it. She would have to keep bringing him books, right? And
Yeah.
why is she? It's just so weird. Like she's bringing a sailor a book about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's just I don't know, man.
And I didn't love her as an actress. She felt kind of like I don't even know what the right word is, like a little bit trashy.
You know what? For the acting, I'm not gonna be too harsh on. I just feel like it just wasn't polished, right? So it's like
Yeah,
they take 2 takes and they should have taken 3, right?
I just felt that like a better actress for this role would have been almost like the shy girl next door type of role, and rather than this sailor from the 50s kind of falling for this trashy 2019 girl.
Yes and no, because once again they didn't know each other long enough for to form any opinions except that they immediately loved each other.
Okay.
Right? Like.
No, I get it. And then for him to decide, yeah, I'm leaving this room with you.
I don't.
But it did make for some cool visuals that as not only was he aging, but the room was aging as well. Like I thought that was cool. Like the bread on the table turned moldy, and like the couch started to have like stuffing coming out of it and stuff like that. That's why I'm probably saying that this probably was my favorite of them, even with all the issues I had with it.
I don't know why the room would. I don't know why that would happen, but
Well, I guess if a couch sat somewhere for decades, it
So
would age as
why
well.
why would she go to that hotel? Because then the whole hotel would be like that. Just
I
as
don't know.
so.
As I said off the hop with this one, it had too many
But you know what I
unexplained
mean?
things. Cool premise, but
So, like,
unexplained. yeah.
the hotel would be run down. There'd be no one going there because no hotel owner would let that happen to their room, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and then how was this guy paying the entire time?
Right,
There's a
it-
ton
it
of questions here.
Just yeah. So no.
The one cool thing they said though on this one, John, I don't know if you picked up on it, and maybe just intrigued me because I didn't know about this. Where he talks about how when you're on a submarine, the crew works in 18-hour shifts.
18-hour days. Yeah. Yeah.
18-hour
I
days.
did
Did
not
you know
know
about
about
that? So I actually I'm like, is this true? Is this not? So I actually tried to do some research on it, and I found an article here, and I got a quote for you. For years, sailors serving aboard submarines worked a different workday than the rest of the world. They worked 6 hours on, 12 hours off once the boats were deployed, and didn't return to an additional 24-hour day until they returned home months later. The logic was that it was easier for sailors to give their undivided attention to the electronic equipment they operate if their work shift it was only 6 hours. While it was never required, Navy officials said it was widely practiced because of a requirement that the maximum number of hours on watch was 6. That rule has been relaxed to support the 24-hour model, and the Navy began transitioning to this 24-hour watch rotation in December 2014. So I thought that was kind of cool. It's like, so perhaps I didn't love this movie.
Yeah.
Learned something
No, that was a
new.
good
That's
detail
something.
for sure. I'm curious about that though. So the new 24-hour schedule, is it broken into 4 6-hour shifts, or do you know?
You know what? I didn't keep reading too much farther. I kind of got what I was
Yeah.
looking for there to see, like, was this a thing? Yes, it was. Why? And then that they've kind of
'Cause
transitioned
they've done
to
studies
24.
for adult learning and adult focus, and 6 hours is the most productive, which is odd considering our work days are scheduled for 8.
Yeah, I was just about to say. So you're telling me we're switching down to 6-hour shifts at work, but still getting paid for 40?
It's like with a lot of things around here, like in anything, it takes time to change, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's those 2 hours are, for the most part, unproductive.
Well, I guess lunch is in
I
there
suppose.
too. And then the final one,
Yeah.
Houdini's
Yeah,
hand.
that box was in the
Now-
beginning in the first sequence. Yeah.
It was.
Like
Wh-
in the bed
when?
bug one, I'm
Where?
thinking that it was on the side there, and he went to grab something from a drawer, and you kind of saw a picture of that box. I'm
Oh,
pretty
seriously?
sure I didn't rewatch this film to make sure, but when I saw it, I'm like, oh, that was in the first one.
I wonder if there was other things throughout the movie that kind of linked the 4 stories, because I was kind of like, I had that in the back of my mind that, I wonder if there's going to be a huge link between these 4 other than the hotel.
I'm pretty sure there was, but that's the only one that I noticed.
My first question for
Yeah.
you, Houdini's hand. This
Yeah.
segment, did it remind you of any movie?
No, it reminded me of that story Monkey's Paw, but it didn't remind me of any movie.
There was a horror comedy that came out in the 90s.
Oh,
Idle Hands.
I don't think I've seen that one.
No, it's like it's not. It's funny, but it's like a typical 90s
Yeah.
teen movie. Like I think Seth, what's his name?
I
I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
now.
the redhead
Seth
guy?
Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in it, and it was like their hand
Yeah, I
gets
remember.
cut off.
I didn't.
Well,
I
the
didn't see
guys,
it, but I actually remember the commercial now that you're saying it.
yeah, and the guy's hands starts to have like
Yeah.
a mind of its own, so he ends up eventually chopping it off, and then it kind of
That's
crawls
like in,
around
from
in the
Evil
Addams
Dead 2,
Family.
when remember he's fighting his own hand.
Oh yeah. So when you were talking earlier about like, is this a horror comedy? Like this last segment definitely.
Yeah,
was.
I don't know. This is a weird. It's a weird hole. It was a weird segment.
It was really weird, right? Because like he ends up stealing this hand from another guy, and then immediately starts blabbing about it to all these different people. Hey, I stole from this guy. Like, you don't think like word travels pretty quick
Yeah,
here?
I don't even. That's not even really my issue. It's just like, how did you know? I don't know. So Stumpy knew he had it and knew he was at that hotel like within seconds.
Well, after he had called again that
Yeah,
Sharko
the Sharko
character
character tried
again.
to sell it.
Which is kind of weird. And the Sharko character is like old, decrepit
I know,
mother
but
is
he
sitting
was
there
that
with
guy
him.
in that Dorian Gray sequence, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's another thing that I guess ties some of these together, right?
Yeah, no, you're right, because he was there
Yeah.
ripping the car apart. Okay.
Um, So yeah, for this segment, like I didn't mind the acting actually. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't really love Stumpy too much at the end because his cackle seemed a little forced. Um,
Okay.
I keep saying sorry about that. And I just found at this point I was like it's okay, but I don't care. Like I lost. Yeah, I
wasn't scared.
I wasn't
You weren't
invested
rooting
in
for the characters
anyone,
to
right? I
survive?
was just more like, okay, well, I'm gonna watch it all because that's what we're supposed to do. So I'm watching it all, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. Like I almost checked out at that point. But I did like, the hand locking them in, and all, and some of that's like some of the hand stuff was pretty funny, right? With the phone
Yeah,
being,
yeah, yeah.
messed with, and then
Like,
doors being locked, and like some of that was pretty good to watch. But other than that,
and then at the end, kind of strange, where he like tries to deliver Stumpy the
Yeah.
other guy's hand, and then Stumpy's like, "Oh, I don't want it anymore." And then he just like
Yeah.
sits down laughing.
it was weird.
Weird.
It's weird. That being said, like, it just wasn't for me. This movie wasn't for me.
No, and after watching this, I found myself. So I did obviously
Yeah.
some research about this and found out that this was
Yeah.
a sequel. In 2015, there was a movie called Horror
Yeah.
Hotel, the movie, and then before that, this
Yeah.
was a web series that's been running since
So
2013.
clearly there's an audience for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then and maybe in the web series or in the previous movie, there were some segments that were like
Yeah.
really good. And so maybe that's what has kind of kept it going. But like after watching this, I didn't find I was like overly intrigued or interested to be like, oh, I should go check this other stuff out.
I think there would be a lot of references in this one for people, the diehard fans of the other ones, or the fans of the other ones, right? The previous ones.
Yeah, or maybe some
Yeah.
repeat characters
Whereas,
like
oh,
that
right,
Sharko
these
guy
are
or whatever.
Great, right? That type of thing could be.
But it might be one of those things, and to be honest, like these anthology things can be tough. So I don't know if you've watched any of the reboot of
No.
The Outer Limits. So I'm working my way kind of through the season that came back, and I would say half the episodes I've thoroughly enjoyed, and half of the episodes it was kind of like
Really,
take it
eh?
or leave it type of thing. And it's just one of those things where each episode you're kind of striving for something new. So there's going to be hits, there's
For
going to
sure.
be misses, right? But unfortunately, all four of these were misses for me, and so that's why I'm not drawn to kind of check out the
Yeah,
rest
they
of
were
the
all
series.
4 misses for me too. And
No, if to put you on the spot here, and I've already told you which segment would be my preference. Like if I had to say which one I liked the best, it was the sailor one, the No Time for Love. Would that be the same for you, or which one would you say you liked the best?
okay,
The final one with the Houdini's hand there.
I don't.
It's a tough question, right? Because you kind of said you didn't really
Yeah.
love any of them, but if you have to pick which one you like the best.
I guess I like the criminal stuff, right? So I guess I'd go with Houdini's hand, right?
Okay, just with the
But
no, fair
that's about it.
enough.
Like I can't.
Um,
The other ones, I don't even know. Like, the bug thing was weird, but like once again, not that these premises are terrible. Like there's some good ideas here for sure. I just found the presentation and the continuity issues just pulled me out of the movie, and then once I'm pulled out of the movie, I start questioning it. Right, so the
Yeah.
real trick to any good movie is to keep you, I guess, captivated, so you're not really questioning some of the stuff that's going on because you're already bought in.
I
No.
wasn't captivated. I was checking my watch throughout.
and I think I was texting you going, how long is this film? And you were telling me.
yeah.
So
and I know that's never a good sign when John sends me that message. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a fun one to talk
well,
about.
I just
Um,
it's just hard. I don't like. I know we always say we're gonna say our honest opinion, and that's what we're doing, and I just don't like to come down hard on other people, right? So I'm just
Well, of
trying
course
to,
not,
I'm,
right?
I'm
'Cause-
trying to be objective and be like why I didn't like it, and trying to give reasonable reasons why, because I get it. People don't like your work. Like, I'm a writer. People don't like my work. But the best thing for me is when those people who don't like my work tell me why, and then if it's a good reason, like something that's absolutely
Constructive
I love
criticism.
I love it because I always remember it, and they help me write my next book, right? So they help me, and it's very helpful to me. So I try to frame it in that way.
No, and I completely hear what you're saying, because as I was going to say, putting out content of any form, whether it's a podcast, a book, a movie, this is not easy stuff, right? And I don't want anyone to ever get the opinion that John and I are like being like, oh, we could do way better. We've told you in many previous episodes, we could not make a better movie than this, right? But we're going to be honest, whether we liked it or not. Looking at Rotten Tomatoes, there was nothing on there. Couldn't find anything on budgets. No box office, because this kind of went straight to Amazon Prime, where you could watch this one or you could watch the original movie. Obviously, I'm assuming there's some website or YouTube where you could find the series. The only thing I could find, IMDb had this rated at 4 out of 10. And honestly, and I know it's such an easy cop-out for me, I thought that was fair. I would probably give this like a 40 out of 100, a 4 out of 10 type of thing, where I would give it a thumbs down, but it's not like it was atrocious or anything like that.
It wasn't. Yeah, I didn't hate it at all. Actually, I was just mostly indifferent to it. So I think a 4 or 5 is exactly right. Yeah,
didn't grab me at all. Well, buddy, anything else to add on this one? Folks, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our Facebook page, and follow us on both Twitter and Instagram @DamnMovies. We want to hear what you thought of today's podcast and any suggestions you have, especially in terms of what movies you'd like us to discuss next. Send us an email to moviesofthedamned@gmail.com. Please also check out John's full-length novels. His first 2 novels, Dollhouse and The Tracker, are Amazon bestsellers, and his new novella, Balance, is also available on Amazon. You can pre-order John's newest full-length novel, Off the Grid, right now at blackrosewriting.com. For further details on John's other published works, please visit his blog, johnhuntfiction.wordpress.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
That's right, everyone. Thank you. Have a great week.